Hello and welcome to the video for Thursday, September 17th for interactive design. I'm going to let people in from the waiting room. And here we go. Hello. How you guys doing today? Hi, Spike. Hey, Grady. Let me go ahead and put you in the attendance here. Okay. Mm, interactive design. Okay, got you guys in the attendance, and should be good. Let's see. Hello, Renee and Amelia and Grady and all you guys. Welcome. Um, do you guys know what master class is? You guys know, have you ever heard of master class? Anybody? No? Oh, okay. Grady's heard of it. Uh, Not in design terms. Okay. So, let me see if I can find this offer. Let's see. Master class, $1 student offer. Oh yeah, here it is. Let me uh, let me grab this link and put it in the class website. Okay, just give me a second here to make this, put this link in here. Okay, going to today's post. Okay, and then we'll put in, let's see, master class offer. And let me double check and make sure that works, and then I'll show it to you guys. Let's see, update, view post. Let me click on it. Yep, it works. Okay. So, blah, 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 blah. Back to Zoom. And let me share my screen real quick and show you guys this. So, okay, so if you go to today's class and you click on this link here called Masterclass Offer, they're having a special which expires at midnight tonight. And what it is you get an entire year's worth of masterclass training for $1 if you're a college student. So what happens is you just sign up with your pima.edu email, and then you put in your credit card and you pay $1 and you get a whole year of masterclass. Now, for those of you that don't know what masterclass is, you probably know about other online training like lynda.com or LinkedIn or whatever. But masterclass is training where what they do is they get people who are masters of their craft to teach the classes. So, for example, Martin Scorsese teaches a directing class, and let's see, Stephen King teaches a horror writing class. Things like that. So, it's pretty incredible. Let me see. Let me see. No, I don't want to be in this right here. Um, it's got me logged in, so I just signed up for it because $1, right? Um, Let me see if I can if they'll let me log out at all. I don't think I can. Let me bring up another browser. I want to bring in the. I just want to go to their website as just a regular person, and then I can show you some of the stuff that they have here. So, like, I think this is a really big deal because I've been watching their little ads for a while now on Facebook, and I've been like, oh, I want to take classes from Martin Scorsese. I want to learn tennis from Venus Williams. Um, so look at these pictures here. These are some of the people. This is that Jake guy who plays ukulele, like electric guitar. He's unreal. I don't know all these people. Maybe you guys do. You guys are more hip than I am. But they're celebrities basically. They're movie stars and famous authors and all kinds of stuff. Oh, here's some names. Um, Steve Martin teaches a class. Danny Elfman, uh, Penn and Teller, Tom Morello, Natalie Portman, Aaron Sorkin. So Ken Burns, really cool stuff. There's a lot worse things you could spend $1 on. Now, the trick is you got to make yourself a note to cancel this plan a year from now, because otherwise they'll charge you $180 for the following year. But Neil Gaiman, great sci-fi and comic book writer. Spike Lee, the director, there's probably somebody in here for everybody. Somebody that you admire or would just like to listen to or watch their videos of how they do their thing. So anyway, consider that. The link does work on my website, and you do have to sign up for before midnight tonight, and it looks like a great opportunity. Um, okay. Does anybody have any questions about that? Let's see. I see something in the chat here. Stephen King. All right. I'm hooked. All right. I think Stephen King's in there. I hope I didn't give you bad info. Let me see. Maybe we can search for him. Browse. I was pretty sure he was in there. Let's see. He spells his name with a PH, right? Stephen. Wait, I think I just saw him. Uh, Steve Martin. How does Stephen King spell his name? Is it PH? I always thought it was. Let's see. Stephen King. Is he in there? Oh. Articles, horror movies, guide, aid, horse. Okay. Maybe I lied to you. Let's see. King. Maybe somebody would help me. Yeah, it's PH. That's how he spelled. Um, all right, I might have lied to you about Stephen King. I thought I saw him on there at one point. It's possible that he did a stint with them and then, maybe he had a year contract and then stopped or something. There's Gary Kasparov, the world chess champion. Werner Herzog, the filmmaker. Carlos Santana, the guitar player. So plenty of cool people in here. Even if Stephen King isn't on the list, you're still probably going to get your money's worth. Okay. Anyway, let me go back to here and let Latisse in. Okay, hello Latisse, how are you? Are you there, Latisse? Looks like you're here, but there's no microphone happening for you. Okay, well, Latisse, if you do get the ability to talk to us, please do. All right. Is that you now? I heard a sound. No? Okay. Let me go back to the website. Peanut.com. Okay. So interactive design. Okay. So I want to check in with you guys on how you're doing on your ads and maybe set a deadline that could work for all of us guys. When you could finish this. I guess I'm not going to make the deadline on a Wednesday because we meet on a Thursday. So my question to you guys is, how long do you think you need to finish off these? Wait, hold on a second. Uh, 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 how long do you guys think you need to finish off these ads? Do you think you can get them finished by a week from today, or do you need more time than that? What's your feedback?
I could do a week. That would be good.
Okay. Uh, let's see. Spike, what do you think? Grady says a week is good. Trevor
That
says
would be nice. Yeah.
doable.
I've already started making the music, so
Okay, cool. All right, so let's do that. So so next Thursday, which is, let's see, the 24th. Okay, so we're gonna say next Thursday, September 24th. Okay. So work towards that deadline of getting your ads finished off, and you can turn them in. You can export them as movies if you want, or just turn in the FLAs. It's fine. Make sure that if you're going to turn in FLAs, that you convert your fonts to graphics. And let me show you what I mean by that. Um, let's see. You guys want to see a funny animation that a student made today? Um, let's see. I think it looks like a little 8-bit game animation where you're like running through a dungeon. You have to jump over a pit with little flames in it. It's kind of cute, huh? Um, okay, so let me go ahead and stop that. I'll create a new file here so I can show you an example. Something. So let's say you make an animation um, and use some kind of weirdo font, like whatever this weirdo font is. It's only on your computer and it's not going to be on anybody else's system. So let's see, I want this to be much bigger. Okay, so I got something called Spooky Cat here. Now I have two options when it comes to taking this font and including it in my output, and if I want it to look correct, right? If I'm going to publish this to like uh, an HTML document or to a FLA file or something like that, I can click on this word embed here. And what it will do, if I click on embed, it'll say, okay, here's this font that you want to embed. Do you want to embed every single character in this font, including all of the numbers and lowercase letters? Do you want to embed just the uppercase letters? You can go through here and pick what you want to embed. Sometimes it's easier to just embed everything, and then you simply say OK. Now, what happens at that point is when you go file and then publish, it will it will publish a SWF of your file, which is a playable animation, and it will embed the font information into that file. So if you guys give me a SWF file um, with your fonts embedded, then we'll see them the way you want them to be. Now, what you don't want to do is you don't just want to save this thing in its native Flash format. So I'll call this, final project one, right? Um, you don't want to save this in its native Flash format and just upload that to your folder without doing anything else, because what will happen is when I open it, this font will jack up and will default to something like Minion or Arial or something boring, right? So your other option, one option is to go ahead and publish this and embed the font. That's how you can store the font there. The other option, which might be actually easier, is save your file as a master file. So we'll save this and we'll call this master project one, um, and then save a different version of it where you call it something like outlines. And so we'll save this and we'll call this um, outlines project one. Now in the outlines version of your project, take your text, your animations, which are fonts, and break them apart, which thereby turns them from fonts into graphics. Okay? So right now this is a font, and I can tell it's a font because I can click my font thing in here and I can change it, right? But the way to turn it into a graphic is you go up to modify and you click break apart. And what break apart does is it breaks it into individual letters, but I believe it's still a font. So then you have to break it apart again, modify break apart a second time. And now, boom, it's actually a graphic, right? And so now you're going to have zero problems with this coming up, as a font. Now, of course, you can animate this graphic the same way you would anything else. You might want to group it together because now that it's a graphic, every little piece is individual. So you could draw a marquee around this, and you could go edit, let's see, modify group. Now it's all one big piece, right? Then you could turn it into a symbol, convert to symbol. We'll call this hello. And now, of course, because it's a symbol, you can animate it like you would anything else. So we put it up in the top left corner. We insert a keyframe 2 seconds later. At that point, we move it into the lower right corner. Then we click in between and we create a classic tween. And now we have an animation that won't jack up when somebody else opens it on their computer. So for any fonts like that you want us to be able to see, turn them into graphics and save it as a separate version of your file, so that if you ever want to go back to the master version and change these, you can. Because now that it's a graphic, it can't be edited as a font anymore. That's why you save the master version of it. Any questions about that? Okay. All right, cool. So let's go back to here. Okay. So Latisse, are you able to speak to me at all?
I am, but no, I do not have my presentation.
Okay, that's fine. Um, you think you might have something next week?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Okay, so we're going to skip on a presentation this week from Latisse, and let's see. We're going to go to the next thing we're going to talk about, which is this page right here. So it says, look at the ad specs of the HTML standard unit on this page. So what I wanted to show you was if you're doing an ad for the internet, the people who you're placing the ad with will often give you what are called spec sheets, which tell you how big the ad should be, what file size it should be, and everything. So this is ABC's website. And basically, these are the two size ads you can get. And if we think about Amelia's presentation the other day, this is like this sort of standard medium-sized squarish ad, and this is kind of the banner ad, right? And it shows you that they're accepted on these two websites, right? And it shows you different formats that they'll be displayed on the web, connected devices, and mobile. And this shows you, the placement of the ads. And this right here tells you different information about the format, the file size, and all that kind of stuff. So like if we wanted to make that sort of medium box ad here, it's called a rectangle, and you could make it either an animated GIF, you can make it a JPEG file, you can make it a PNG file, or you can code it in HTML5. Now, Adobe Animate will code in HTML5. So, that would be one way you would want to go. It tells you that your final ad cannot be any more than 40K. That's the file size, right? If it is, they'll reject it. But then they have some crazy other things here that I have to explain. They have something called a polite download and a user-initiated download, right? So, and it says NA on both of those, so basically you can't do those on the site. But a polite download would be where they give you a link to something. Like let's say you have an ad and it says, "Hey, download our new here's our new Christmas catalog. Click on this link and you can download our new Christmas catalog," right? So that's a user initiated download, because that means that the user has to click on that to download it. And then the polite download would be more like once you click on the ad, they actually try to download something to you and they say, do you want this thing we're trying to download to you? But regardless, ABC won't let you do that. They just want you to show your ad and have it be under 40K. It looks like they won't let audio or visual but they will do this thing third party one by one, which I'm not quite sure what that is. And then, it's interesting to take note of what they're looking for. First party hosted HTML creative must follow the following below guidelines. A single click through URL. So that means when people click anywhere on your ad, there's just one URL that they're going to. All third-party click tracking must be built into the HTML file. So, in other words, if you made your ad using something like Google Ads, they're going to embed the tracking in there so you can see the statistics of how many people have clicked on your ad. They won't let additional interactive features be there. You basically have to submit everything in a zip folder. The HTML5 file has to be able to find all the graphics and everything in the same folder, which is this. And the total animation may not exceed 20 seconds, contain no more than 3 loops of animation within the 20-second limit. So these are some really specific specifications here, right? And you have to give them exactly what they want, or they'll just kick it back and they won't take it. So notice that they reserve the site the right of final approval on creative assets. Also, it has to be clear that it's an ad as opposed to looking like content on the page. It needs to, if it has a white background, it needs to have a border on it. There must be a privacy policy that you can click to within one click of getting click on the ad. The ads must open in a new window, and so on and so forth. So anyway, I just thought it was interesting for you guys to take a look at this and see all the, all of the specifications that they put in place, because it means, you have to make your ads conform to these in order to get on this particular site. Other sites are going to have other specifications. Okay, any questions about that? Okay. All right. Now I do see that Grady has his presentation ready. So Grady, would you like to give that? Or do you want me to? Let's see. Yes, it's a video in my drive folder. Okay, perfect. So let me open that up. It's not that one. It's probably this one. Yes. Okay, so Grady. This one right here, right?
When you think of an operating system, what comes to mind? Most would say Windows was their first thought, or perhaps Macintosh. But what if there was a third? Linux is that option, and may play a more integral role in the web than you may first think. For starters, Linux is used as a base for many servers and is considered part of the LAMP software bundle, L standing for Linux, which is a standard for a variety of website stacks. Many server hosts prefer Linux, primarily because it is open source and free, while also being dynamic, rich in features, and well supported. But before I continue, what exactly is Linux? And how is it different from Windows or Mac? Originally, Linux was simply a system kernel developed by Linus Torvalds in 1991, but later grew to be known as the host of distributions that it is today. A kernel is what facilitates communication between the computer hardware and the applications on the computer. Imagine if you ran Firefox. The kernel would then tell the pieces of hardware, like the RAM and processor, what to do to make Firefox work. Over time, Linux evolved from simply a kernel and was incorporated into complete operating systems like Debian, Arch, and Android. Linux also comes in different flavors, as some like to call them, or distributions as they are officially called. Different distributions have different uses. For example, a distribution called Puppy Linux is developed for older machines, or a distribution called Tails is designed specifically to remain anonymous on the web. There are also more desktop-friendly distributions like Debian, Ubuntu, and Fedora, which accommodate the traditional workplace flow. So which distribution would be useful in web development and design? My first choice would be Debian, as it is tried and tested when it comes to Linux. Debian is what many other distros are based on, including Ubuntu, Mint, Elementary OS, and is still updated with security and usability features. Since it's been around for a while, it has a large repository of programs to use and lots of support from people who know a lot about the system. My second choice would be Fedora, which is based on RPM for similar reasons. And for web hosting, many have chosen CentOS, which is a distribution that does very well as a server. Now that you've chosen a distribution, what programs will be at your disposal? Sadly, the Adobe suite is not made for Linux systems, but there are many good and often free alternatives on Linux. The two most notable are GIMP and Inkscape. GIMP is a raster program similar to Photoshop, with many of the same tools and even a few tools that Photoshop doesn't have. GIMP has layers, selection channel editing, adjustments, and filters, as well as anything else a good designer would need. Another popular tool is Inkscape, a free and open source vector program similar to Illustrator. It can do many similar things, although the learning curve is mildly steep. There are other programs like Vector and Krita as well, which do similar things. For 3D modeling and video editing, most notable is the free and open source program Blender, which is a fully documented and well-supported 3D modeling and video editing program for Linux, Mac, and Windows. For development, there is also Firefox Developer, which is like ordinary Firefox, but with tools and options tailored for web development. Available on Linux as well as Windows and Mac, this tool is an inspector, a visual editor, a console, as well as multiple other tools and monitors for the average web developer. And the best part, everything I've just mentioned is 100% free. All you need is a computer to boot from, a bit of time and know-how, and you're all set. In essence, developing on Linux means you can operate an entire freelancing business for the cost of one computer. You don't even have to pay for Windows or Mac, which would come with bloatware and security privacy issues anyway. With Linux, you would be secure, efficient, and productive, all while keeping some cash in your pocket for later. This, in essence, is why Linux is a valid and worthy contender in the life of a web developer. It's free, supported, secure, expansive, and versatile, making Linux an excellent choice for any web developer.
All right. Woo.
Come on, that was so impressive, Grady. Put your
Yeah.
foot in that.
Really nice.
That
Wow.
was great.
So Grady, we assume that you are a Linux guy. You're using Linux on your machines, right? Yeah. I think Linux is great. I had some people I worked with put Linux on a PC computer for me once, but other than that, I haven't really had experience with it. Um, I think Linux is at the core of the current Apple operating system, right? Yeah. Um, okay, let me see. I got to read some of these notes here. Trevor said, very informational. I didn't know much about Linux at all. Yeah, I'm really interested in that Firefox developer program. That looks cool. I mean, because I'm not running Linux, it says I could run it on Mac or PC, so I'd be interested to see how that works. But very cool. Nice job. Very well, very informative and well done. Okay, so let's go back to the class website. Just got to get there. Interactive design. Okay, so I have a I have a tutorial for us to do, but before we get into that, I wanted to see if you guys had some files, some of your ad files that you've updated that we can check out, maybe take a look at, give you some feedback on.
Negative from Team Johnson.
Team Johnson, okay.
Oh, negatory. Get that out there right now.
Okay, we got that taken care of. All right. Anybody else have something that they've done a little work on that we can check out?
I have something in my folder, in my Google Drive folder.
Okay.
I just send you an email with a link.
All right. Well, yeah, let me see if I can find it real quick. But yeah, go ahead, do that. Yeah, an
Right
email.
there, the top one, maybe.
No, that's not it.
Yeah, that's me.
No, that wasn't it though. That was this is
I
it.
just sent it again.
Oh, it's not my fault. I
Yes,
here.
Your fault.
Okay, is this it right here?
yes.
Okay.
Ooh,
All right. What do you guys think?
I love that you added the find your emotion.
Yeah. And did you slow down the little text things?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you also you put in actual interfaces on the phones here, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, cool. I love that.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Maybe you're timing a little longer on not this part, but can you keep going? Right here. What do you think, Greg? Team?
So do you mean right before here
On
or
countless emotions, like countless comes real quick. It's like the blink of an eye. Like if I'm blinking, I'm gonna miss it.
yeah, could you possibly slow this down a little bit?
So that
I
you can
agree
see
with that.
the
I had the same yeah, like just a little slower. Like have countless just take a little longer to get big, and then
Mm.
have emotions follow the same
right.
pattern. Like maybe just make it twice as long because it probably takes a second now. Maybe have it take 2 seconds, just so we don't feel like we miss anything. You
Ooh.
know?
Yeah, like a heartbeat, countless heartbeat, emotion,
Yeah.
heartbeat, rhythm.
Uh, right. And then this is good that you added this in here.
Ooh, first month free, girl. You know I'm trying to sign up because my man is on the front screen.
Oh, Tom, right?
I forgot his name, but
No,
he's
it's
still
Tom.
But what
he's
is
gone. Oh no, there he is. There he
It's
is.
Tom. Is
is
it more
there?
handsome there?
Does he say anything?
He doesn't say Jack Diddley. He says my name,
He,
Latif. Swipe left.
no, he says let's dine out. Isn't that the guy?
Oh yeah, that's cool.
He wants to dine out.
Yeah, I'm down as long as we are COVID safe, got our mask on. Might have matching masks. That might be your soulmate if you guys show up with matching masks. What?
That's funny. You know, if somebody did do a dating app today, they might have to have a little checkbox that says certified COVID free or something like that. You know?
Never know. It's hard. But when you're just meeting someone, do you really need to be closer than 6 feet? I mean, like I don't even know you, do.
Well, yeah, that's an interesting point. Well, certainly, it's certainly had an impact on this industry. I don't know how it's playing out, but this is one of the industries that would really have to be transformed to respond to it. Um,
Yeah.
especially given the fact that what they're saying now is that that a virus probably won't be widely, or virus vaccine probably won't be widely distributed till the middle of next year, and
Mm.
that we would be wearing masks for probably another year, you know, before things get back to normal, possibly at the end of next year. So, you know, so you're looking at another year of going through your life wearing masks. So, you know, whatever change they've made to this, you know, dating apps, that's got to be a change that's going to be around for a while. I mean, it's like a new policy pretty much. Um,
Right. Well,
yeah.
they integrated the video chatting
Oh, they did?
on a lot of dating
Oh, that's
apps
cool.
and sites.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, I
Um,
saw a commercial.
okay, so Trevor says looks great. The interface buttons are a nice attention to detail, and the timing for the text buttons seems more seamless. Eat dinner from 6 feet away. Wowee, what a treat.
I know, right?
Why don't you just sit at different tables for God's sake, you know?
Come on.
Uh, yeah. Okay. Well, nice job, Livia. That looks really good. Um, see.
Trevor.
So Trevor says it's like a noir film. Yeah, maybe what happens, maybe it's kind of like speed dating. Maybe you go in and you sit at a restaurant and you sit a couple tables away from the person Maybe just text to each other.
Oh no, I would get dumped immediately. I'm the worst texter.
Well, maybe they have like markers and paper, and you could write
There we
things,
go. And send paper planes across the restaurant.
or just crumple up notes and throw them over.
There we
Uh,
go.
okay, yeah, crazy times. Okay, and then is this another thing? Is this your circus
Ooh, yes,
file?
play it.
Yes,
Okay,
the practice.
Amazing. Love it. Aww.
oh my gosh,
Right? How to get real jiggy with it. Love it.
you got an echo, Latisse.
So
Oh,
do
I'll have
you.
an echo.
It's you, Greg. You have an echo. Did you fix it? I don't hear it anymore.
Well, I think that looks great. I mean, you went all out and really did a great job.
Looks great. How long have you been animating, Livia?
I don't remember. Maybe an hour because I have problem with the timing and I have to make some adjustment.
I mean, in general, like how long have you been working with these programs? Because you're really gifted in it,
Uh,
in them.
I know this program since it's what's called Flash, and I have to be sincere. I never liked Flash, so I didn't use it a lot until now. That is called Animate.
No, you do really well in it.
Yeah, Trevor says, "Wow, that's really impressive." So nice job. Looks terrific.
Great.
Okay, who else has got something that they would like to show that they made? You know, it can even be a small amount of progress that you want some feedback on, or
I mean, I don't know if anyone would actually
oh,
reverse already.
wait, somebody cut out. Was that you, Spike, or who was talking?
The spike.
Okay,
Yeah, that was me. I was saying I don't think anyone would want to hear it, but I put 2 songs in reverse.
I want to hear it. Shoot, you got the wrong classmate. I want to hear it. Put it on, please, Greg.
okay. Let's see.
I might want to short and like cut them up a bit more, but yeah, it'd be at the bottom of that. Yep, there they are.
Oh, right.
In summer music.
This is the backward music for Satan commercial.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
Okay. Pretty cool.
What song is that?
Trevor says he could get jiggy with it to this, still a head bop quality to it. I agree.
Oh.
There's definitely a head bop quality to that. It sounds still
Trevor, I'm with Trevor. I was getting jiggy with it too.
okay. Let's listen to this one.
It's kind of hard to tell that the music's backwards.
What? What'd you say, Spike?
Wait, that's weird. Something's wrong. Something's wrong. So that was supposed to be in reverse.
That wasn't in reverse?
Well, right now the lyrics are not, and that's why I'm confused. Actually, I can't tell. I don't know what's going on.
It sounds reversed to me, man.
Yeah, it sounds reversed. That song sounds spooky. The song before it was smooth spooky.
Yeah. Well, those are cool, Spike. I think you're doing a nice job with that. It's definitely gonna enhance your Satan animation.
I think I know it's wrong. I think never mind. I accidentally started playing the last one because I have it pulled up from when I was putting it in reverse. That's why I was hearing something going forward.
Oh, I see. You were playing yours. Okay.
Yeah, my bad.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, it looks good.
I like that you're putting music with it because I'm a sucker for music, with the animation or with anything. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm wondering even if I should like have them playing at the same time, just kind of make it worse. I mean, tell.
Oh, that's true. You could do that. Although, I don't know. Just maybe put them together and play it for one person, and then play them the other one. See which one they prefer.
That's a good idea.
Okay. Anybody else have anything they want to share? Okay. If not, then what we're going to do is this tutorial. So what you're going to have to do is download this file. So it says download these files to do the tutorial. Oh, you know what? I just realized something. Let's see. So unfortunately, let's see. I just realized that I may have to start a 1 month free trial on this because my Linda account just got hosed. So let me start my 1 month free trial so we can do this. Almost there. Sign in, create account. See, I think I have an account with these guys already. So all right, give me a second here. Let me see if I can get signed up here. Free trial not redeemable. Looks like you've had a free trial recently. You're not eligible for another free trial this time. We've updated your plan. Oh, thanks, you guys. You kind of suck. Let me try logging in with a different account. Okay. Let me log out. Come on, stupid people. Okay, log me out. Sign out. All right, I'm going to try and sign up with a different email account. Oh, come on. Let's see. Lynda.com. I really kind of hate LinkedIn with like kind of a passion. Okay, let's see.
I love the confession right now.
Okay, you're leaving. Okay, try for free. All right, let's try greg@dreamco.com. I hope I can get in right now. Oh, again, bastards. Did I use my free trial up for everything? Wait.
You can use my email.
I can send you my login for Linda.
You want to try doing that?
I'm going to send you my login.
Okay.
You have to log in through LinkedIn.
Log into LinkedIn?
Yes, let me type this here.
Okay. These are bad people.
You're gonna have to create another email.
I send you through the chat.
Oh, through chat.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, LinkedIn, where are you, stupid, evil people? Skip this.
Okay, skip.
Okay, so now we're in LinkedIn. So, learning, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So now we just have to search for, okay, so that's right there. So now we just have to search for my animated ad. So let me go here and do pima.dranko.com. So my ad is called, oh, it took me in because I'm logged in.
Mhm.
Okay, cool. Well, now you guys can download the exercise files because they're there on that page. So just go down here and click download these files, and then go ahead and it's going to open up a zip folder, or it's going to download a zip folder, and then you're going to have to uncompress that. And then inside there's going to be a folder called exercise files, artwork, bitmaps, vector. So all this kind of wonky stuff is going to be inside that folder. Okay, and then make sure you start up Adobe Animate, and we can get started. Do you guys need a second to download these files? You got them? Okay. All right, so let's get started with the tutorial.
Hi, my name is Chris Converse, and welcome to creating an HTML5 banner ad with Animate CC. Now, Animate is a new animation application available to Adobe Creative Cloud members. In this course, we'll explore creating an online advertisement using the HTML5 Canvas document settings found in Animate. We'll then import artwork, create text and graphics, import web fonts from Typekit, and even write some relatively simple JavaScript with help from the included code snippets to control our animation playback, as well as make the entire ad clickable to any URL that you choose. And once we've completed the design and animation of our ad, we'll explore the publishing options available inside of Animate, allowing us to optimize the download both for file size and the total number of files, as well as different packaging options depending on how you need to deliver your ad files. And finally, the exercise files for this course are available to all members. So download your files and let's start creating an HTML5 banner ad with Animate CC. The exercise files for this course are available to all members and consist of a main folder called Artwork. Now within this folder are two additional folders, one named Bitmaps and the other named Vector. Now the Vector folder contains a logo file in the SVG format, and the Bitmap folder contains a photo of a granite countertop in the JPEG format and 4 transparent product photos of different types of bowls, and these are saved in the PNG format. Now these bowls have been sized to match each other so that we can create that masking effect that we saw in the intro video. Now we'll be creating our project in the main exercise folder and referencing the graphics within the artwork folder from within Animate. So once you have your files downloaded, let's continue on and start creating our advertisement. Now to begin our project in the exercise files, let's come in here and create a folder that's at the same level as the artwork folder. So I'll right click and choose a new folder. We'll call this My Ad.
Okay, so if you've located your folder where all this stuff is, you're going to have a folder called exercise files, and then inside there is going to be one called artwork. So you want to create a new folder. Let's see, I got to open this up and then click here and do new folder. And then you want to name it My Ad. It should be at the same level as the My Artwork folder. In other words, they're both, or as the artwork folder, they should both be inside the exercise folder.
Now the reason I'm doing this is when we publish our ad from Animate, all of the assets are going to be in this My Ad folder. We're going to reference the higher resolution artwork inside of the artwork directory for the bitmaps here. So now that we have the My Ad folder created, let's go and launch Adobe Animate. And once Animate's launched, you'll see this main splash screen here. The first thing we need to do is create a new HTML5 canvas document. In the splash screen, you can do that by coming under Create New and clicking this button here that says HTML5 Canvas. You can also go to the File menu, come down and choose New, and you can choose HTML5 Canvas in here as well.
Now he's got a slightly older version of Adobe Animate, so it's going to look a little different for us. Wrong program. Okay, let's see, Adobe Animate here. Okay, so let me close all this junk. No. Okay. Sure. Yes. Whatever. Save. Okay. No. Sorry, just cleaning up some files that were still open. Okay, so now I guess it's making me reopen Adobe Animate, which is fine. Okay, no, I would not like to open that file, thank you. Okay, so now you can hit Create New, and then you're going to get this choice here, and you can go, you can see it looks very different from what we had before. But we can click Web, which will create an HTML5 canvas file, which is what we want. Now, the presets are just different size screens here at 800 by 600, 640 by 80, and 1024 by 768. Now, I don't recall exactly what size this is, but it's probably not the really big one. I'm going to say, because it doesn't matter, we're going to change the size anyway. But let's click on this low one, because that's probably closer to it than this medium one. Click on the low one, and then just hit Create. Okay.
In either case, I'll come down here and click OK. That's going to activate our project. Now I'm in the Essentials workspace. You can change workspaces by coming up to the right-hand menu over here. I'll keep this on Essentials, that's the default. So now in the Properties panel here, we can see all of the information about the canvas or the main stage over here on the left-hand side.
Now let me just mention the work space here. So if you go under, let's see, well, let's see. Let me go up here, Properties, Windows. Okay, if you click on this little icon, which is right up here, it'll tell you what workspace you're in. Right now, I'm in something called the Classic workspace, and you can see there's workspaces for designers, developers. There's one called Essentials, one called Basic, right? Watch how my workspace changes when I hit Essentials. Okay, so when I hit Essentials, it's going to like bring the animation thing down here at the bottom. It's going to expand my my properties over here so that I'm seeing a lot more there. So you might want to change to the Essentials workspace, because then we'll have the same workspace as the tutorial. So once again, click on this little guy here, click on Essentials, and then you'll be in here. Once again, he's using a slightly older program, so it's going to look a little different.
And the timeline panel is down below. So inside of the Properties panel, let's come down and change some settings for our project. First, for the frames per second, let's come in here and change this from 24 to 30. I'll hit Tab. That will tab me to the size width. Let's come in here and change this to a standard banner size, which is 720 wide. I'll hit the Tab key, and then we'll change the height to 300 pixels.
Okay, so we're going to make the FPS, which is frames per second, 30. We're going to make the width 729 and the height 300. Or I'm sorry, the width will be 720 and the height will be 300. Okay, so we're going to go down here. Click on Properties, frames per second. We're going to change that to 30. going to change the width to 720 and the height to 300. Okay, so your ad's going to look a little bit like this. Now, this is not like a very traditional size ad these days, or the type that we were looking at before, which were like the banner ads and the box ads. This is much taller than the banner ads, so it's kind of an unusual size.
So once those are set, I'll bring my cursor inside of the canvas area. I'll press the space bar, which will give me the hand tool. And while holding the space bar, I'll click the mouse and drag the canvas to the middle of the stage.
Okay, so of course in Adobe programs, if you, of course you have to be zoomed in to see this happen. But if you hold your space bar down, your cursor becomes this hand tool, and you can click and you can move the whole document around like this. Now when you're zoomed all the way out, it doesn't really matter. Let's see. You know, it doesn't really matter. You don't have to move this thing around because you can see it all, right? But if you're really zoomed in, using a hand tool can be helpful. Now the other thing you might want to do is click on this drop-down menu here and just choose Fit in Window. And what that'll do is it'll blow your document up so that it completely fills the window, which is a nice way to look at it.
So now with the basic settings for our advertisement setup, let's come up to the File menu. Let's come down and choose Save. Then go into the exercise files, go into My Ad, and then we'll name this everydaythings.fla. Then choose Save.
Okay, so in my case, I've got my little exercise folder is here inside my downloads folder, and I don't want it to be there. So I'm going to click on it, I'm going to drag it to my desktop, which is easier for me to find. Then I'm going to go into Adobe Animate. I'm going to do File, Save As. Go to my desktop, find my everyday thing, or I'm sorry, find my exercise files folder. Go into the My Ad folder and save this as everyday things, all one word, smashed together.fla, and hit save.
And then if we go back and take a look in the exercise files, inside of the My Ad folder, we'll see a new file here called Everyday Things. And now with our project set up and our files organized, next we'll import the artwork into Animate. So inside of Adobe Animate, the first thing we'll do is bring our artwork in. Now I like to bring the artwork directly into the library. This way nothing gets added to the stage, and then I can control which artwork gets placed on the stage as I build the composition. So in the interface, let's come over here and highlight the library panel. Then we'll come over to the File menu, come down to Import, choose Import to Library. Then we'll come over to the Exercise Files folder, Artwork, go into Bitmaps, and we're going to bring in all of the bitmap graphics. So I'll select the first one, hold the Shift key, select the last one. All 5 items are selected, and then we'll come down and choose Open.
Okay, so here in Animate, you can click on Library, and that'll show you your library. Then you can go File, Import, Import to Library. Go find your folder, your exercise files folder. Open that up. Open up our artwork. Open up bitmaps. Click on the very first one. Hold your Shift key down. Click on the last one, and hit Open. Okay, you'll notice that all of those bitmaps stack up here in your library.
So now what we'll see inside of Animate in the library panel under the file listing area are all of the graphics that we just imported. So now let's come back to the File menu. Let's come down to Import, choose Import to Library again. Let's go into the Vector folder and let's bring in the Everyday Things logo.svg.
Okay. File, Import, Import to Library. If you're still pointing at that one folder, you can go up a level and then go down into the vector folder and import the everyday things logo.svg. Okay. Now let me see. This he may not get this screen here, but let's see what the video says.
Let's click open. Next, Animate's going to ask us how we want to import this content. We have a few different options with SVG. We can bring in each path to a different layer. We can import each path to a different keyframe, so we can use an SVG as the source to create vector-based animations. And then the top option will bring in all paths into the same layer and frame, basically giving us a graphic of all of that source artwork. So that's the option I'll pick for here. Let's come back.
Okay, so he wants us to choose that top option, which is the default, so let's hit OK.
Down and click OK. And now in the library panel, we can see that new graphic. So notice here that this icon's a little bit different. This is a graphic icon representing a graphic symbol. The other elements with the tiny image icon represent a source image, but they're not wrapped into symbols. Now, in order to create animations from these elements, we need to wrap all of our artwork inside of symbols. So I like to organize my library panel so I can keep track of all of my source artwork. So inside of the library panel, down at the bottom, let's come down and create a new folder. I'm going to name this folder bitmaps, space, source, then press return. Then let's come up here and grab the basket.ping. I'm going to drag this inside of that folder. Then I can toggle this open to see what's inside of there. I'm going to bring in the ceramic bowl, the countertop, the dip bowl, and the wood bowl. And now with our library.
Okay. So we come down here, we click on the little folder icon. I gotta remember what he called these damn things. Called them bitmaps source. Okay. So now we can click on that folder that we created. Double click on it and name it bitmaps source. And then basically drag all of the bitmap files except for that everyday thing file in there. So it will look like this.
Panel nicely organized. Next, we'll start building our composition by dragging artwork from the library panel directly to the canvas. Now we're ready to start building our composition. So the first thing I want to do is add the granite countertop. That's going to be the background for the entire ad. So let's come over here to the library panel. Let's come in here and select countertop JPEG. Let's click and just drag it into the canvas. Once this is placed, you can click and drag this again, and the countertop will snap to the main canvas element.
Okay. So we're going to click on countertop JPEG, drag it onto the screen here. Now, you might want to be zoomed out just a little bit to see this. So now you grab this, and as you get it right up against the edges, it should sort of snap in place.
I sized the countertop to 720 by 300. So now with that placed, down in the timeline panel, we'll see a keyframe element here for layer 1. Let's come in here and double click layer 1. And let's rename this countertop.
Now, in the latest Adobe Animate, you have to put an underscore between words or it'll give you a little nastygram and ask you if you want it to rename it, and then you can just say yes.
Press return. We'll also come in here and size this a little bit so that I can have longer names and read them here. So now with the countertop in place, let's come down here to the lower left. Let's add another layer. This is going to be the logo. So let's double click this and let's name it logo.
Okay, so in the newer version of Animate, the symbol to add new layers is above the timeline here. It's this little thing here. So you can click on that, make a new layer, double click on the name, and call it logo.
Let's come over to the library panel. Let's grab the Everyday Things logo.svg, and let's drag and drop this on the stage. So now I want to position this in a really specific spot so that we can mask this as our first bowl rolls in.
Okay, let's grab that. Everyday Things logo. Drag it onto your screen and just kind of put it up here. I'm going to go ahead and go back to fit in Windows so I can see everything.
You remember from the introduction video. So to control exactly where this is positioned, let's come over here to the properties panel. Let's bring that to the front. Let's come down and set the X property here to 26. Then I'll hit tab and we're going to set the Y property to 36 and then hit tab again.
Okay, so we hit the properties tab. Click on this thing so it's selected. Set the X to 26. Set the Y to 36. And then you'll have that thing positioned exactly where he wants it.
So that's going to put the logo at exactly the point where we need it to be. So now with these two elements placed, let's come back down to the timeline panel. We're not going to move the countertop for the entire ad. So let's come in here and turn on the lock for the countertop layer. This way we can't come up here and select this.
Okay, so the lock icon.
Then let's come down here, let's add another layer. Let's come up and name this basket.
Okay.
Press return. Let's bring the library panel forward. Let's come down and choose basket.ping. Let's drag this into the stage. Then I'll just move this right here for a moment. Now another thing I like to do with my Animate projects is to put some guides down on the edges of the canvas so that I can always see those as I'm making my composition. So
Okay, let's bring the basket onto the stage. So go to your library, click on basket, drag it on the stage. I'm going to zoom out again. This.
in order to do that, we need to turn on the rulers, which can be found under the View menu. Come down and turn on rulers, and then get your cursor inside of the ruler, click and drag, and let's drag down a horizontal guide across the top. Let's come up here and click again, and I'll drag another one down to align with the bottom. Then on the left-hand side, I'll click in the vertical ruler, drag out a guide to match the left side, and then drag another one out to align to the right side.
Okay, so view, rulers, and now make sure you're on this little arrow. Click on the top ruler and drag a guide down to and stick it to the very top of your ad, the countertop. Stick one to the bottom, and then one to the left, and one to the right.
Now I want this basket in a specific position as well. So let's come back here and select it. Then go over to the properties panel. Let's come down here and set the X property to 112. And let's set the Y property to 20 pixels. So this is going to be the final position after the basket rolls in from the left.
Okay, so we're going to set the X and Y for the basket to 112 and 20.
before we start animating the masking effect that we saw in the intro video. So with this in place, let's come down to the timeline panel and let's add a few more layers. So I'll click 3 more. Above basket, let's come in here and rename layer 4 to dip bowl. Let's rename the one above that to wood bowl. And then finally the last one to ceramic bowl. I'm also going to make my timeline a little.
Okay, so we're going to make 3 more layers, and dip bowl, wood bowl, and ceramic bowl.
Taller here by clicking the divider here and just dragging this up. And then moving the canvas by holding the space bar and clicking and dragging. So now let's come down here. Let's select the dip bowl layer. Let's come back to the library panel. Let's come over here and select the dip bowl. Drag it on the stage. And now what I'm going to do is drag this around, and Animate will snap this into place when this particular graphic matches the basket graphic.
Okay, so make sure you click on the dip bowl layer. Click on your dip bowl graphic, drag it over, and then try and position it right on top of this basket. It should kind of snap into place.
So since we sized all of these to be exactly the same, Animate will give us a little bit of a snapping effect. Now just to test and make sure this is actually lined up, we can come down here and turn on and off the eyeball here on the dip bowl just to see how they look. So by showing and hiding the dip bowl layer, I can see that these are lined up. So next let's select wood bowl. Let's come back to the library panel. Let's drag this on the stage. We'll move this into place until that snaps in. Let's turn that on and off. Now this one does seem to jump up just a little bit. So I'll come in here and select this, use my down arrow, and just arrow this down a couple pixels.
Okay, so now we click on wood bowl, find the wood bowl, drag it onto the stage, drag it on top of this, see if you can get it to sort of snap in place, right? And you can always try the whole eyeball thing. Come down here and turn the eyeball off and on, see if it sits in the right place or not. If not, you can use your arrow keys on your keyboard to move it slightly.
Then select the ceramic bowl layer. Drag the ceramic bowl on the stage. Line this up. And then show and hide this one as well. So now that we've placed all of the artwork that we've imported, next we'll create a text block and a rectangle tool using the artwork creation tools inside of Animate.
Okay, so let's get that ceramic bowl. Make sure you're on the ceramic bowl layer. Click your ceramic bowl, put it on the screen. Get that thing all lined up. You can try your eyeball thing, see how it works. Looks pretty good. Now go ahead and save your file, File, Save. And then I think what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to give us a little 10-minute break here to use the restroom or get a drink or whatever. And when we come back, we'll do some more on this tutorial. Let's go ahead and take a little break. Okay. Hope you guys had a nice little break in there. I'm going to go ahead and connect us back up to a shared screen. And then I'll get us over to our tutorial. Let's see, might take me a second to find it. There it is. Excuse me. And now we'll get started back up again.
Now we're going to create a rectangle and a text block, and we're going to use the artwork creation tools inside of Animate to do this. So first, let's create the rectangle. Let's come down to the timeline panel. Let's create a new layer. Let's name this text box.
Okay, so what we're doing now is creating a brand new layer. We're going to name it text underscore box.
Size this a little bit. Next, let's come over here to the toolbar. Let's come down and choose the rectangle tool. Now with the text box layer selected in the timeline, let's click and drag. This will create a rectangle.
Okay, so we're going to grab the rectangle tool up here. We're going to come over and just click and drag out a rectangle on this brand new layer here. Doesn't matter what color it is. Mine's black, but I suppose I could make it blue. Click on this menu right here, change the color. There we go. Okay, if you're just joining us, we added a new layer called text box at the top, and then we just drew a rectangle over here on the right hand side.
Once I've created the rectangle, let's come over here and select the selection tool, which is the top tool here in the toolbar. Now I can come over here and I can click and select this. Let's go to the properties panel. Let's come in here and change the width to 215. And let's change the height to 215 as well.
Okay, so now we're going to make that a square. So click on your selection tool, click on the rectangle, go to properties, make the width 215, hit your tab key and make the height 215 and hit the tab key again.
We're going to leave the stroke at none. Let's come over here to the fill color. And let's come in here and let's select this medium orange color, which is going to be CC for red, 66 for green, and 00 for blue.
Okay, so some of you may have created your rectangle with a stroke around it, which is the second color. And what you can do is you can click over here when you have your rectangle selected. You can click on this back color chip here, and then come over here and click on this little line square with the line through it, and that will mean none. And then you'll have a blue rectangle or a blue square with no stroke around it. Now what he wants us to do is change the fill color. So we're going to click on this, and the fill color he wants us to use is this one. It's located right here. It's got a hexadecimal number up there in the top left corner of CC6600. So it's this little orange kind of right in the middle of everything.
Of the hex colors. Now with that in place, let's click and drag and let's position this to the upper right hand corner of the ad. And then next, let's come down to the timeline panel. Let's create a new layer. Let's call this headline.
Okay. So grab your box, snap it up here into the top right corner, create a new layer, and call it headline.
With this layer selected, let's come over to the toolbar. Let's come down and choose the type tool. Then we'll come over here to the stage. Let's click and drag to create a text block. And let's come in here and let's type in our headline, which is going to be on, then hit return, sale, another return, every, then a return, day.
Okay, now you may have noticed that our toolbox is on the left. His was on the right. But you have to go to your text tools over here. You can click and drag out a text box. Hit your caps lock and then type on sale every day. Obviously, it doesn't matter what font or what color it is right now because we're going to change those.
The upper right hand corner here, I can click and resize this. Let's come back and select our selection tool. Let's click and drag this and put it over top of the orange bar. Now if I double click this, I can come in here and select all of the text. In the properties panel, right now this is static text and we're going to leave it like that. Later on, we're going to bring in a web font and change this to a font that we choose on Typekit. But for now, we're going to leave this static. For the font family, let's type in Arial. For the size, let's set this to 47 point. Then I'll come up here and resize this so that it fits. Let's change the color to white. And then let's come down here to the paragraph settings. Let's toggle this open and let's change the line height to -11. Then press return.
Okay, let's see. So Arial, white, and then under paragraph, this line height is going to be -11. So let's see what we can do there. I'm always doing that. You know, I think I'm going to close this damn program. Don't say it. Okay. It looks AE looks just like AN down here. Okay. So highlight all that for the font, Arial. For the size, 47. For the color, white. And then now let's see. This is interesting. What was called line height before is now called line spacing. So let me see if I put in a -11 if that looks right. Yeah, that does. So this box right here, it's now called line spacing, put in -11. And then this thing should look the way he wants it to look.
Back to the selection tool. I'll click on this and we'll just position this about right here for now. Now I do want to make a note here that we will be changing this line spacing before we publish our final ad. The way Animate spaces out lines is different from the way JavaScript in a browser spaces lines. The browser uses something called a line height, whereas Animate uses line spacing. So later on, when we apply our web font, we will also change the line spacing to match what we need the final JavaScript to be. So it won't look correct on the stage here, but it will look correct in a browser. So for now, we'll leave this as Arial. We'll leave the line spacing to -11, and we'll revisit this after we create our animations. Now we can begin to animate elements in our ad. So first, let's come down to the timeline panel. Let's select the text box layer. Let's drag this down to be below the basket layer.
Okay, so I'm gonna drag my little animation timeline up a little by grabbing the top of it, move it up. So grab the text box layer and drag it down below the basket layer.
I want to have all of the products show up on top of that orange box. Then let's come back and let's hide the headline layer, the ceramic, wood, and dip bowl layers as well. This way we...
Okay, so we're hiding the top 4 layers by clicking on the eyeball column to make them disappear. So headline, ceramic, wood, and dip bowl. So now we just see the basket.
We can only see the basket layer, the text block, the logo, and the countertop. Let's come back and select the basket. Now, in order to animate the basket, we have to wrap this graphic into a symbol. We can only animate symbols inside of Animate. So with the basket selected, let's come up to the Modify menu. Let's come down and choose Convert to Symbol. Now we need to name the symbol. So I'll type in basket. The type, we'll leave this as a graphic symbol. For the registration point, let's choose the center and then click OK. So now,
Okay, so click on your basket. Oh, let's see, my basket layer is locked. So I have to unlock that. So I'm going to click on the lock icon to unlock the basket. Then I'm going to click on the basket, go Modify, Convert to Symbol, call it basket. Now this is important. You have to change the registration for this. These little dots right here represent the registration, and right now there's a black dot in the upper left hand corner. You want to click in the center so that the black dot goes in the center. And what that is, that's like the anchor point, and we want the anchor point to be in the center so that it can rotate around it. You can leave the type as graphic, and then you can hit OK.
on the library panel, you'll see a new symbol, just like we got with the SVG we imported earlier. And the symbol has the basket.ping file inside of it. So again, this is why I wanted to separate all of the source bitmap files using this folder from all of the symbols that encompass those particular graphics. So now on the stage, we have an instance of this basket symbol. Now, the other thing I want to do is I want to adjust the registration point a little bit. I did need to manipulate all of the different products so that the outermost circumference would match so we could do that masking effect. However, that did result in the fact that some of these items weren't perfect circles. So I want to modify the registration point here. So the way I can do that is with the object selected, let's come over to the toolbar. Let's click on this third tool down here called Free Transform. When I activate this, I get a black highlight around the entire box with these white outline node points, and I can come in here and select and move the registration point. Now to help make sure I get this closer to the center, let's come up to the upper right-hand corner of the stage. Let's change the magnification to 400%. Now I can come in here, I can select this registration point, and I'm going to drag it right to about here. So that's going to...
Okay. So this is your registration point, and we told it to be in the middle, right? Now, in today's Adobe Animate, what you want to do is click on the second from the top, which is called the Free Transform tool. And that's going to allow you to move this registration point, but you also want to zoom in. So you can click on this drop-down menu, and you can put in something like 200, or you could even write in there 400 if you want to get super, super close. Now you just click on the dot, and you drag it down and try and put it in the middle of this X that has been created by the bottom of the basket. It doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, it won't perfectly snap into place. You just have to get it somewhere in the center of that X so that it will, when it rotates, it looks a little better than it does right now.
Give me a little bit more of a believable rotation when we have the basket roll in. So with that adjustment made, I'll go back to 100%, center my stage, and now we're ready to animate this. So the first thing we need to do before we can begin creating animations is to add some frames to the timeline. By default, the timeline has a single frame showing up here. So what we're going to do is come out here on the timeline to the 80 frame mark. I'm going to click on the first item and drag down to select all of these frames. Then we're going to come up to the Insert menu, Timeline, and then choose Frame. You can also just hit F5 on your keyboard.
Okay, so in order to make this animation, we have to give it some length. So what we're going to do is, first of all, if we're zoomed in here, we got to get back to normal. So you can do Fit in Window, and now you can see everything again. Then come down here and click on frame 80 on the top layer. Hold your Shift key down and click on the very bottom layer, frame 80. And then a quicker way to do what he just said is to either control click on a Mac or right click on a PC on this column and just say Insert Frame. And what it does is it extends all of the layers. There was one frame on each layer, and it extends it out to 80 frames.
So now we have a duration of 80 frames. So I can click the playhead here and drag this back and forth. So now with our project having 80 frames, in the basket layer, let's select this. Let's bring our cursor out to the 40th frame mark and then click. So I can see right here that I have frame 40 selected in the basket layer. Let's come up to the insert menu. Let's come down to timeline and let's choose keyframe.
Okay, so we're inserting a keyframe at frame 40 of the basket layer. So click on basket so you can see which layer it is. Find frame 40. Come down here and click underneath it. You'll see the name of the frame right up here. Once again, an easier way to do this is right click on this and just do insert keyframe.
And this also has a keyboard shortcut of F6. You don't see it right here, but if you do hit F6, you'll get a keyframe. So now if I select this, I can see that there's now a dot showing up here, indicating that there's a second keyframe in the basket layer at frame 40. So now to create an animation, let's bring the playhead back here. Let's come up to the stage. I'm going to hold the Shift key and use my left arrow, or you can click and drag. And I'm going to bring the basket out to the left-hand side of the stage.
Okay, so sometimes I call this backwards animation, and what it is it's when you instead of like putting the thing you're going to animate, putting it right at the beginning of the animation and then animating it forward to where it's going to end up, you do the opposite and you put it in where it's going to end up, and then you go earlier in the animation and drag it to where it came from. So that's what we're going to do here. So on this basket layer here, click on the very first frame, click on your basket on the screen, start to drag it to the left, and as soon as you start dragging it, hold your Shift key down and drag the basket all the way to the left so that it's past the blue guideline. So in other words, it's not going to show up in the movie right now.
Now I do have a specific number that I want to use here. So I'll go back to the properties panel, and for the X property, we're going to set this to negative 240 pixels. Then press return.
Okay, so he wants it to be in a specific location. So we'll go to properties, and for the X property, oh, I got pretty close. Negative 239.95, but he wants negative 240. Okay, that's what we give him.
So by making this change, we now have a second set of properties for the first keyframe versus the second keyframe. So if I come in here and jog the timeline, as soon as the playhead gets to the second keyframe, we can see the basket now jumps into place. Now to create an animation between these two keyframes, we can select any frame in between the two keyframes, come up to the insert menu, and we're going to come down and choose Classic Tween. Now we can use Motion Tween when working with HTML5, but there are some animation techniques that Animate does that can't be replicated with JavaScript. So it's a good idea to use Classic Tweens whenever possible when creating content for HTML5. And once I select the Classic Tween, you'll now see that the basket jumps to where it shows up in that particular point in the animation based on the frame I selected.
Okay, yeah, and that's something I said in a previous class, which is, you know, Motion Tween has more sophisticated tools, but they don't all work in HTML5 animation. That's why we always use the Classic Tween. So just click anywhere in the gray area between the first frame and the second one. You can right click and just do create Classic Tween. And now if you grab your playback head, it will you'll be creating an animation.
Greg, at frame 40, what type of frame did he insert? Just a keyframe?
Frame 40, we entered a keyframe.
Okay. Mine didn't.
So now you should have an animation where the basket, which we positioned at X minus 240, starts out there, and then over this 40 frames, you know, ends up in its final position on the stage.
Now if I jog the timeline, I can see that the basket now moves into place. So to preview the animation we have so far in the timeline panel, let's come down here and click on the first frame button, and then come over and click on the play button. And then on the main stage, you can see the animation playing. And so now with some basic motion working, next we're going to add in some rotation and an easing effect.
Okay, so at this point you may want to save your file. It's a good idea to save your files on a regular basis, so you can just go File, Save. And what we're going to do is we'll go ahead and do the rotation on this basket and the easing, and then we're going to take a break from this tutorial. I'm going to give you guys some time to work on your projects, which we've decided will be due a week from today. Now this tutorial is going to be spread out over many classes because it's a really good tutorial. It teaches you all kinds of things about Adobe Animate. It teaches you how to make an ad. It even teaches you how to export the ad for use in HTML5. So we're going to be doing this off and on for the next couple weeks probably. So let's do one more little video, and then we'll take a break from this and give you guys some time to work on your ads.
So now with our basic animation in for the basket, next I want to add some rotation to the basket so it looks like it's sort of rolling into position. And I also want the animation to slow down at the end so it doesn't just abruptly stop. So right now we have a very simple animation that just has an abrupt stop and no rotation. So let's come up here and move the stage to the right. Let's make sure the play it is at first frame. Let's come up here and click on the basket. Now with the basket selected, let's come over here and turn on the free transform tool. Then when I come over here to the upper right hand corner, I can see a rotation symbol showing up next to the cursor. If I click and drag, I can rotate this symbol on the stage. So I'll rotate this to about right here. Let's come.
Okay, so what we're going to do is rotate that first basket. So you got to drag your playback head back to the beginning, frame 1. You got to click on your basket, select it. Then you got to click on the free transform tool, which is right underneath it. And now when you bring your mouse to the corner, you get the little round symbol, which means you can rotate it. So click on it and simply drag it to the left. I don't know exactly how far to tell you to drag this. Just, it looked to me like he dragged his, how many degrees is that? I don't know. What's half of 45? Looks kind of like 30 degrees to the left. Let's see, I could be wrong. Let's see. How much did I drag this? Oh, that's more than 30. Maybe, not that degrees mean anything to you guys, but maybe 60 degrees to the left. Try and drag this to maybe 11 o'clock. You know, drag the point, which was over here at like 3 o'clock, and drag it so that the top point is pointing to maybe like 11 o'clock.
Come down to the timeline. Let's jog the animation. So we can see this is rotating as it moves.
Okay, so now when we go back into Adobe Animate, if you click on the playback head and you drag it, it looks like the basket is rolling. And the reason it looks like it's rolling is because the keyframe that we pasted in at frame 40 is the original keyframe where the basket was in its original position. But if we take the first keyframe, which used to look the same as the last one, and we rotate it, then what happens is during this tween, everything about the basket changes. Its position changes and its rotation changes so that by the time it gets to frame 40, it matches what it looks like there. So that gives us the illusion that the basket's kind of rolling into place.
It's not quite realistic. It's not rotating fast enough for the distance it's moving. If we want to get precise control over how much the rotation is being set, we can come up to the window menu, come down to transform. That will bring up the transform panel. And let's change -54 in my case to about -75.
Okay, so now he's going to set the rotation over here to something very specific. So what you have to do is go back to the first frame, click on this, Now your transform panel is this one right here, this little icon on the right hand side. You can click on that, and whatever your rotation is, change it to -75. Okay, this little icon right here, change your rotation to -75.
Press return. Then let's come down here, let's jog the timeline. That looks a little bit more realistic. But now another thing that's going to change the effect of this animation is the easing effect, or having it sort of slow down at the end. So let's set that setting first, and then we can adjust the rotation. So to change the easing effect, let's come down here and select any frame in between the two keyframes that's part of the tween. Make sure the properties panel is showing up. And down here under tweening, let's come in here and let's click on ease. Let's click and drag. I'm going to drag this to the right, and let's drag this up to 100%. So,
okay, so you can click on anywhere in between the beginning and ending keyframe, and then wow, it looks like we have a completely different choice here when it comes to tweening. He had a number that he could set, and it looks like ours is set with either properties together or properties separately. So what I'm thinking is that they've made an update where it automatically eases. It looks like it's set to automatically ease. And what easing is where things kind of speed up and slow down when they animate. I'll have to double check on that to make sure it is what I think it is, but it sure looks like it. So properties together, classic ease. Oh, wait a minute. I take that back. This is where we need to change the setting. This 0 here has to be changed to 100. So click on that and change that to 100, and I believe that will change our setting to what we want.
what easing does is changes the amount of motion for all of the in-between frames from the first keyframe we set to the last keyframe. So to preview this in the timeline panel, let's come down and click on the button that will bring us to the first frame. Then let's come over and click on play. So now the animation plays faster at the beginning and slower at the end. And now with this speed variation in place, now we can make adjustments to the rotation setting in the first frame.
Okay, so we can go back to animate, and we can hit our play button, which is right here. And sure enough, what you see is this is called easing out. And what happens is the basket actually is moving faster at the beginning, and then it just kind of slows down to its end position. Right? Hopefully you can see that. And that's what easing does. It changes the rate of movement.
So I'll bring the blade back to the first frame, click on the item. Let's bring up our transform panel again. And the number we need to put in here is -135 degrees.
Okay, so now that the easing is in place, it's moving a lot quicker, which means it's rotating more. It needs to rotate more. So we need to change that rotation to -135. So let's go here. Let's go back to the first frame. Let's click on our transform panel here, and where it says -75, let's put in -135. Okay, it's going to rotate it even more.
So with that set, I'll move the stage over to the middle, come down to the timeline controls, and now let's preview this. Now this did take a little bit of trial and error when I was working on the project. This takes into account the fact that the basket is 440 pixels by 440 pixels. We set the left offset to -240 pixels on the x-axis, and then we have the ease out value set to 100. So with all of these in place, -135 degrees on the rotation gives us the illusion that as we scrub the timeline back and forth, the basket looks as though it's actually rolling on a surface. So now that we have our basket rotating and animating into place, next we'll introduce the logo into the animation by creating and animating a mask that matches the curvature of the basket and then reveals the logo as the basket rolls through.
Okay, so let's go to our Adobe Animate file and let's do File Save. You can always preview your animation by hitting the play button here. And you should see it has a much more sort of realistic look now to the way that the basket's just kind of rolling in there like it's a real basket on a real surface. Okay, so that's where we're going to stop with the tutorial because, like I said, it's a lot of information, and we're going to break it up into several classes so we don't get, our brains don't turn to sponges. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, there's about 20 minutes left of class. I'm going to give you guys some time to work on your projects. So remember, they're due in a week. So go ahead and start, finishing things off, polishing things off, and getting them ready to show to us. And then, of course, on Tuesday, if you have any drafts of them you want to show to us and just get some final feedback before you turn them in next Thursday, we'll be happy to look at them. Okay, any questions from any of you guys?
What's
Okay.
the name of this tutorial?
Say again?
What's the name of this tutorial on Linda?
What about the tutorial on Linda?
The name of it?
Can you use it, or is that the question?
Like, what's the name of it if I do a trial?
Let's see. It's called Adobe Animate CC Creating an HTML5 Banner Ad.
Kidding, it's right in front of me.
Now, by the way, I'm recording this whole class, and I'm going to put it on the class website after the class is done. And it's got everything that he just talked about. It's all here. It's all in my recording.
Okay, cool.
So as long as you have those files that you downloaded, you can just rewatch the video and catch anything that you missed.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. All right. Any other questions?
I have a question, Greg.
Yeah.
So I did the ease in, and for some reason, I just forgot where it shows the ease on here.
Oh, you have to be on the properties. So what you have to do is click in between the beginning and the ending keyframes, right? And then click on properties up here. And then down here, you got to open this section called tweening.
It's in the frame.
Okay.
And then change this number here to 100.
Okay, I got it. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, you guys. Well, go ahead and work on your projects. Have a nice weekend, and I will see you again on Tuesday.
Thank you.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.